Hey guys, what's up? It's Jules here for WhatCulture.com with another episode of the most insane things happening in wrestling this week. The show that does exactly what it says on the tin in the most annoying way possible. You're welcome. Now, before we begin, just want to get two pieces of admin out of the way. The first is a massive shout out and huge love to the one, the only Simon Miller. He made his debut on Defiant Wrestling last week and it was utterly amazing to see the response he got. He has a killer power slam and a killer personality to boot. Thank you very much, Simon, for your support on our stream that we did last week. It was a pleasure working with you. So if you're watching this, big love. And secondly, I just want to say a massive thank you to you watching at home. Your feedback and your support recently for the Having a Giraffe movement has been overwhelming. Recently, I met people in the street who came up and said it to me, and people using the hashtag at Twitter all over the place. It's been wonderful to see this sort of take off. And I can confirm we are definitely getting t-shirts. I'm not wearing it now because we're actually redesigning it as we speak, which actually leads me to my next point. If you've got any designs, if you want to help us make the merch for this, then get in touch. You can follow me at RetroJ with a 0 on Twitter. Just send me designs, silly things about the giraffe, and we can get this spread out to as much people as possible. Because it is silly, I'm having a laugh, you're having a giraffe. Anyway, enough with that, let's hit that intro and get on with the show. So, as the dust from the tights has begun to settle after the Greatest Royal Rumble pay-per-view, a lot of weird details are emerging, and some of them are highlighting that the relationship between the WWE and Saudi Arabia is more the WWE walking backwards towards a giant oil pipeline. So we all know that women weren't present at the event because of cultural laws, but it turns out that the systematic approach to removing anything with boobs actually ended up applying to the ad breaks as well. Because the WWE got in a bit of hot water because they aired their dual brand pay-per-view ad, which is offensive, but only in terms of the singing quality, which showed Alexa Bliss, Carmella, and a few others dancing and prancing about to promote the fact that they're going to be beating the shit out of each other together. Anyway, that was enough to cause people to go a bit mad. They pulled that ad from the TV, that's fine, but they didn't pull the ad from the live event itself, meaning that 60,000 people plus in attendance got to see women wearing more clothes than most of the men do. Still, it was enough to get the WWE in hot water and even get people accusing them of cultural insensitivity and not doing their research. Well, if they want to point fingers at not doing their research, I lead you to point number 2. Because you know who totally shagged their research? Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who reportedly asked when he was handpicking who should appear at this pay-per-view, he asked for Yokozuna and the Ultimate Warrior. Don't know if you've heard, mate, but they're dead. F***ing hell. That's why Hiroki Zumi was there, the man that Google forgot. No, literally no one knows who he was. They put him in there because they thought he's as good as Yokozuna. Well, he did about as well, didn't he? Mark Henry chucked him out like he was a cheeky whippet. So you know what? For that sheer lack of preparation on an event that you are hosting, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, are you having a giraffe, mate? Are you having a giraffe?
Having a giraffe, mate.
Or would it be a camel? Is that racist? He even said, right, that he wanted to have Jerry the King Lawler and JR on the show, right? And he referred to them, he asked for them, not by name, but by the man in the black hat and the crown. That is staggering. It highlights what this pay-per-view was. It was a glorified parade of what somebody thinks wrestling is about. It's not catering for the wrestling fans. It's not catering for even the casual wrestling fans. It's catering for a bloke who's just like, yeah, I've got some cash, bit of a few million quid that's just stuffed down the back of the sofa. Let's just chuck it on some wrestlers for a bit. Make them dance. Come on, funny monkey men, dance. Still a good laugh though. Best house show I've ever seen. Most expensive one, though. Okay, so final bit talking about the Greatest Royal Rumble now, and yes, we have to address Titis Worldslide. Yes, everyone's been talking about it. It's been absolutely everywhere, and it has been one of the funniest things to come out of wrestling since that line that's left on The Undertaker's head every time he takes his hat off. Buy a bigger hat, mate. Well, actually, it would be the funniest thing going at the moment if the WWE hadn't already started to try and kill their own meme. The amount of footage that they've shown from different angles, having wrestlers interviewed asking them about it, even having Titus make sure that he had the ring completely clear for him to go down. I understand a few references to it, but the fact that they are going overboard with this is actually kind of highlighting something a bit deeper and a little bit darker. It speaks volumes about what the WWE actually think about their superstars, that they're effectively to be used however they see fit. As long as there are eyes on the product, they could care less if they're winning matches or making an absolute tit of themselves. And the latter is much more damaging than first might appear. Do you remember when Mike Kanellis was interviewed backstage and told that he was actually the second shortest Royal Rumble participant? Santino Marella was the 1 second elimination. He was so excited about it. They basically played off his lack of skill as a joke. And the same thing with Titus. They would bury a talent if it meant that there was a few more dollars in it for them. And a good way to put it into perspective is to look at New Japan, because they recently had a massive botch of their own, but they dealt with it in a completely different way. So Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, the Golden Lovers, they do this thing where they do a dual moonsault sort of thing, and Kenny hit his. Kota didn't hit his, yet they focused on Kenny rather than Kota's failings. And what this does is create a big difference between the two brands. The WWE is basically saying, let's have a laugh at this guy, let's have a laugh at the mistakes that he's made. It could have potentially cost him his career if it weren't handled correctly. And New Japan, on the other hand, is saying, well, let's preserve the illusion of wrestling. Let's protect our stars and make sure that they're not jokes, not to be laughed at, they are to be taken seriously. Now, which one do you prefer? One is for entertainment and having a cheap laugh, and the other is for the purists, saying that these are talents, not clowns. Right, so Big Cass is a very large man. I don't know if you've noticed this. He's what you'd call a tall glass of protein shake. And now that he's back from injury, the WWE are giving him a massive push by putting him into a feud with Daniel Bryan. But this rivalry it doesn't sit right with me. In fact, it reeks of everything that's wrong with Vince McMahon creative teams. It is old school, but in the worst way possible. I mean, firstly, you've got to ask, is Big Cass even worthy enough of being in a feud with Daniel Bryan in the first place? I mean, Daniel Bryan is a white-hot property at the moment, and Big Cass, well, he doesn't really have main event written into his wispy beard. I mean, apart from being tagged with that pesky little imp Enzo Amore, what's he got? That he's 7 foot tall? I mean, you literally can't teach that, but you can't teach him how to cut a good promo either. Another thing you can't teach Vince McMahon, apparently, is that little people being used as a punchline is not funny anymore. We had a world vote on it, and he probably missed it. He's probably out trying to figure out what a burrito was, or if anyone would find Gail Kim attractive. Look that up if you don't know what I'm talking about. Brilliant fun. He's a madman. But what we had, basically, was a giant man, in the middle of the ring, oiled up to the nines, beating up a miniature version of Daniel Bryan. This is where we are, is it? It's like, the WWE was talking about the greatest Royal Rumble, about how they were going to bridge gaps and hopefully bring about slight cultural change and progressive nature with that. If this is what the changes they're trying to bring, I don't consider that progress. I consider it a giant dude kicking the shit out of a wee man for the sake of comedy. I mean, it's the same with the New Day and the short stack pancakes thing that they were doing. If in doubt, wheel a midget out. Is midget PC anymore? Probably not. Replace what I just said with a more PC world. Just get this bit. Little person. That seemed a bit condescending or aggressive. You know what I mean, though. It just serves to remind us that while WWE tries to push the new, it is very comfortable with sticking with the old school. And what we had was just another guy, giant dude, just talking about how big and strong he was, probably Vince McMahon with an erection the size of a tent pole. And it just didn't really move anything along enough. Hopefully Daniel Bryan will sweep this under the rug and move on to bigger things. All right. Right, okay, so I'm gonna err slightly into politics today, but do not worry, I am not talking about my personal allegiance or preference or telling anyone to do anything or vote or thing. I'm just talking about a big lad who's doing some big things at the moment. The Big Red Machine, Kane, aka Glenn Jacobs, is setting fire to the big red state of Knox County because he has just become their official Republican candidate for the county. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? So technically we can call him Citizen Kane. But the most insane thing about this is that because of the amount of support that he got online from other wrestlers like Daniel Bryan and his fake brother, The Undertaker, and many, many others on Twitter and beyond, we actually have to ask ourselves, did pro wrestling get him into his position more than his policies? If so, that's pretty mad. The thing is, he realized this. Early on, he only had sort of like tenuous ties to Kane as he was starting his run, but then he just leaned into the entire experience and just went full on thing. He wore the mask, he wore the gimmick, he had like little slogans based on Raw is War sort of thing around there. He got tons of people with photo shoots, even at autograph signings, he'd even do stuff there. He leaned into this fully. Great move, by the way. Very smart to use your own self-made PR from another industry that is totally unrelated to help you get further in the political field. Whether or not he'll be good at the job, who knows? But I mean, it's not definite that he's going to win for Knox County, but it is a very red state, and he is a very giant red man. So, yeah, I reckon he'll do all right. Either way, we just want to be positive about this and just say to him, well done, Glenn, you massive, massive man, even if you do look like the most evil dad in the world when you're wearing anything other than your in-ring attire. Well done. And those are the most insane things happening in wrestling this week. Now, to end the show the only way I know how, by reading my favorite comments from last week's episode. And you know what? This one was an easy winner. It's from Jason Richard, who said, so, having a giraffe means having a laugh? I wish somebody told me that movement wasn't about me having my way with a giraffe before I went out and bought a ladder. I have nothing else to say to that apart from it made me laugh so much that I almost dropped my avocado on rye toast into my coffee that was served ironically in a flower pot at the local hipster meetup cafe. Dead funny that. Funnier than my joke, so yeah. So thank you, Jason, and a massive thank you, as always, to Michael Hamflet and Phil Chambers for their continued work on this show. Thank you very much, lads. Without you, I'd just be a random dude doing nothing with his life. And a massive, huge, overwhelming thank you to you at home for watching and for your support. Let's keep that having a draft movement going, get the hashtags going, and soon I will reward you with merch that you'll pay for. I will do competitions to give out some free stuff because I want to pay it forward. I am a nice guy, believe it or not. Don't read anything in the papers, or ask any of my friends, or my family, or even amongst yourselves. Anyway, as always, I've been Jules, you've been awesome, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye! So, thanks for watching. Please feel free to click on any of these things around my head, or something terrible might happen to the dog. Too sweet me, bro. Traitor. Traitor.